There is a strange thing that often happens in the last few weeks before moving abroad. And maybe you've done this yourself, or maybe you're even doing this right now if you're in those weeks before departure. Suddenly, you start doing things you have postponed for years. You visit places that have always been right there. You take little trips you always meant to take. You see friends again and again. Even things you've done countless times before start to feel strangely more significant. It's as if the image switched from an old black and white TV to Ultra HD. Everything becomes more vivid and more real. Now, nothing about these places or people has changed, so what on earth is going on here? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you that something very special is happening in your brain during moments like this. Something that temporarily breaks the brain's normal tendency to dull our awareness. And once you understand it, you might never experience temporary chapters of life the same way again. When something big as moving abroad is imminent, of course we look forward to that next chapter and wonder what it's going to be like. But we also suddenly become aware that the current chapter is ending. Also, the expat assignment itself can have an end date. We may know ahead of time that it will be for 3, 4, 5 years. The contract will end and we will move on to something else thereafter. And there's something very unique about knowing something has an end date. To understand the extraordinary nature of this, we first need to look at how daily life works most of the time. When we want to understand how big something is, we need to be able to see the edges. Imagine floating in the middle of a massive ocean, and everywhere you look, you see nothing but water. No ships, no shore, just literally an endless sea of water. How will you know or understand how big it is? The same with trying to understand how big our planet is, or even crazier, the entire universe. It's so far beyond our reach of what we can literally see that the exact proportion becomes somewhat diffuse. And that also brings at least some level of indifference because we can't wrap our minds around it fully. It also works this way with our sense of time. Most chapters in life feel open-ended, even though we know intellectually that life is finite. The timeline is simply too big to hold in our minds. It's too vague for us to truly see where we are in relation to where things end, if they may end, when that would be. And because that concept is so fleeting, our mind quietly simplifies that big, too hard to grasp timeline into a general continuity expectation. It creates the sense that life will probably continue more or less like this forever. The end of it becomes invisible and our brain says, I guess there is no real end. I like to call this default continuity. It is when the end of a chapter is unknown or diffuse, and as a result, our mind lets our full awareness fade of it actually being finite. It becomes somewhat of a shoulder shrug of the brain, not understanding, okay. When there's no constraint of time, this leads to procrastination and deferring meaningful choices because we feel that we have time. And one day actually feels like it exists. As a result, routines settle in, experiences blur together, and we stop noticing every single thing or thinking about it too much. Life, slowly but surely, runs on autopilot. When time feels infinite, it's as if we almost forget to fully live. And it's extremely difficult to stay out of that routine and blurring of awareness. It's how our brains conserve energy. It just shuts off having to process everything with full intensity all the time. When we look at chapters that we know are temporary, like temporary expat assignments, all of a sudden the chapter has clear edges. Time has edges. And this is not unique to moving abroad. You can see it in many areas of life, and I'm sure you've experienced at least some of these yourself or in people around you. It's the final months before leaving a job or the weeks before retirement. It's the last semester of university. The final phase of a long project or production. It's the last weeks before moving house or moving from one city to another. Heck, even a vacation does it to some extent. When a chapter has clear edges, the mind can actually see the distance between where you are now and the end of the chapter. The end becomes visible, and that snaps us out of the default continuity. The brain goes, "Holy chicken nuggets, this is different. Let's pay attention." And this is exactly where the magic happens in how we experience life, because now we actually do pay attention, regardless if we get more scared or more engaged, or even both. Let me explain. When we are aware of when a chapter in life will end, when the end point is visible, we typically respond in two ways. We pull away and we lean in. Pulling away is when the expiry date makes us want to protect ourselves. We may be scared and don't want to get too attached or want to somehow mentally brace for the upcoming pain. And that's called anticipatory loss. We hold back because we know that the goodbye is coming. Very often, something else happens too. We lean in. We see friends more often, seize the moment, make the most out of the time available, and become strangely present in moments that may have felt very ordinary before. Research shows this too. When people perceive time as limited, they often start paying more attention. They start prioritizing emotionally meaningful experiences, wanting to more consciously experience that line between now and the end of the chapter. Whether we pull away or lean in or both, life becomes more conscious and intentional. We pay attention. We feel more, both the good and the difficult. But it's no longer routine autopilot. Our awareness volume button gets turned up drastically. And that's exactly why those final weeks before leaving feel so vivid. When time feels finite, we all of a sudden remember how to live. Now, the irony is, being in a temporary chapter doesn't change a single thing about the nature of life itself, because think about it, literally every chapter in life is temporary. A chapter with an end date simply makes that truth more visible. And there's absolute magic in time having edges. It allows us to slip through the cracks of our brain's tendency to keep us in default continuity where life just happens before we know it. When time feels infinite, we forget to live. When time feels finite, we remember how. In my opinion, this is one of the many hidden miraculous gifts of temporary expat life. It gives us the extraordinary opportunity to use that awareness to live life fully, or as I like to call it, to live life above the common. Not in a superior way at all, but more fully aware, fully alive, fully present, more intentional. If we haven't met yet, my name is Eva. I am an identity and life design coach working with expat partners, high achievers, and leaders navigating complex transitions and identity recalibration. Complex transitions can be daunting, and the temporary nature of things can be very scary and may also indeed make you want to pull back, and I completely understand that too. But you know what? As I talked about in my video, the comfort and cost of we can always go back, living with one foot out the door does have a cost. It prevents full engagement with the life you are currently living. So if you're scared, that is totally okay. Then do it scared. Just don't forget to live. Because everyone deserves to live, love, and lead fully from the inside out, no matter where you are or for how long, or even how scared. If this video was meaningful to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and use that notification bell because it does really help. Not only does it support my work, but it also helps other people just like you find my content. And until we meet again, remember to reclaim the life that you love, connect to what truly matters, and rise above the common.